All right. Welcome to the Sheboygan Area Schools Board of Education regular monthly meeting, Monday, September 22nd, 2025, at 6:30 p.m. We are beginning. Chris?
Okay. Tim Tarja.
Here.
Deborah Buhner.
Here.
Luke Kukowski.
Here.
Travis Neville.
Here.
Richard Pilon.
Here.
Matt Malarchuk.
Here.
And Julie Lohila.
Here. Please stand for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, before we begin, I would just like to state that several board members prefer paper, so they have paper, and many prefer devices to look at their agenda. So they are looking at their agendas and not playing crossword games, just so everybody knows. All right, so the first thing on the agenda is the approval of minutes for Monday, August 25th, 2025. So I'm looking for a motion to approve the minutes of August 25th, 2025.
I'll make that motion. Support.
Motion made by Travis, support by Matt. Any discussion? Questions? Chris?
Luke Kukowski.
Yep.
Richard Pilon.
Yes.
Tim Tarja.
Yes.
Deborah Buhner.
Yes.
Matt Malarchuk.
Yes.
Travis Neville.
Yes.
And Julie Lohila.
Yes. Okay, I just have one thing I would like to bring to everyone's attention on the board, because I just kind of got it set in my mind how things should actually be legally for our committees. Our committees always have to be posted at least 18 hours prior to meetings. If the committee is on a regular day of the month, they need to be posted by date. They should be posted on the website and on the door of the board office. Committee meetings are open and the door must remain open, and public comments must be filled out just like during this meeting to keep record of it. Any questions about committees? And that's the committee's chair to make sure that that has happened. Any questions about that? Okay, so the next thing on our agenda is Superintendent report by Spencer Bird.
Thank you, Julie. I got some handouts I'm going to give to you guys real quick. I'm not going to read them to you, but you can take a look at them when you get home. A lot of this stuff we talked about in our committee meetings and our cabinet meetings, but on one, and I tried to save some paper so that everything's two-sided. But the side I'm looking at right now is just a reminder that on October, is it 8th? We have our first PD day. We have a rough draft schedule there. Students will be released at lunchtime, but students and staff will stick around. And that afternoon is going to be dedicated to artificial intelligence. We've created with the help of Jamie Huber and the COP ESD, we have a building representative from each building that is now part of a AI cohort. And we meet frequently with cohorts from other school districts within our region. And we have a group that's leading us, but they're going to come and actually talk directly to all of our teachers and staff on the 8th. So there should be a lot of connections, we're hoping, between our cohort, the other district cohorts, and actually working directly with this person when they come and present to us on October 8th. So that's right around the corner. October 8th, half day for students, and then the afternoon will be dedicated to professional development. On the other side, I always like to give this to the school board. This is Dr. Rice's strategic educational plan, and he has 8 goals in the upper right-hand corner, I guess it is. But if you take a look at those are very similar to our strategic plan goals. So, you know, I want to remind people we're going to be talking about strategic plans quite a bit here at the beginning of the school year, but it starts with the state. And if you read those 8 goals, you'll see that we're making some positive steps in those broad directions. So that's kind of where we take our lead, first and foremost, is from Dr. Rice and the state. And then after that, I've met with all of the You want to take one of these, Tim, and pass them down? I've met with all of the committee chairs. I met with most of the boards individually. We, last spring, we brought in our consultant from, is it MASA, was it? Yes, I believe. He came in, Greg Janicki came in, and it was time for us to review our strategic plan, which we developed 2 years ago, my first year here, back in 2023. And again, you'll notice that the strategic plan that we developed in 2023 is very broad as well. Very similar to the way that the Michigan strategic plan is developed. But what I like about this is I've been working with the different committees and different school boards, individuals, and we've come up with a little bit more specific goals under each of the 5 pillars. So these 5 pillars that we started off with in 2023, you can see underneath them, they're not quite SMART goals. We don't want them to be SMART goals, but they're just kind of point us in the correct direction, right? We talked about this quite a bit in some of our committees. You know, leading the school district is like turning a ship in the night. You know, it takes a very, very broad, long turn before you can get in alignment with some of our goals. So we've been turning for the last 2 years. Some of these goals we're a little bit closer to than others, but these will be in front of us all, building principals, board members, district administrators, to make sure that we're all pulling in the same direction. So now this is tonight what I'm going to ask you guys to do. I think all of you already know this, but this is the first reading of our new district strategic plan moving forward. So this is still a rough draft, I guess is what I'm saying. If you feel as a board member there's something we want to add, delete, change, we have a month to do that. But next month we're going to come back around and we're going to finalize this and ask for a final second reading. And then what's going to happen then next, I've already talked to some of the building principals. I'm going to turn these over to the building principals, and they're going to start working on their MyKit goals or their building goals. So they'll each building will develop 2 to 3 MyKit goals, and hopefully, like ours is linked to the Michigan plan, hopefully the building plans will be linked to the district plan as well. So I know Jessica Yearling is here. I think, has everybody met Jessica? Jessica, have you met everybody?
No, I don't.
Jessica is our new Jamie McClintock. She's our new curriculum person. So let's give a round of applause for Jessica. Sorry, I should have introduced you first, but Jessica's already hit the ground running. She's been here for 2 weeks. It seems like 2 months, but she's been working very hard, meeting a lot of people, building a lot of relationships. But she'll also be working hand in hand with the building principals, just like Jamie McClintock did when she was here for the past 2 years. So I'm not going to read all these to you. Take them home. We got a month. This is a first reading. But most of you have seen these, especially if you're a chair of a committee, so you already know what you're looking at. Lastly, before I turn it over to Jamie Huber, if you would take a look at this handout, I got 2 things here. One is, I think as a school board this past summer and the spring of last year, I think one of the things that we all agreed to is keep a closer eye on enrollment. And if you take a look at one of the sides, there's enrollment as of today, I believe, wasn't it, Chris? Was it night?
Yep.
Yep. So this morning I had Chris run this report, and you can see that we have the high school, intermediate school, East Elementary, and the Inverness Academy. We have grade levels, pre-K or -1, all the way over to 12. And you can see that the total is 1482. Last February, when we did count day last February of last school year, our enrollment was 1,458. So if you compare February to, as we get closer to October 1st, we're currently exceeding that number, which is a good thing. My understanding, I know since I've been here, and I believe looking at the historical data, for the last 15 years, as we all know, Sheboygan School District has gone down in enrollment every year for the last 15 years. And we're hoping that with the addition of some of these new programs and doing some of the marketing campaigns that you guys are aware of, the commercials, the billboards going up, that we can increase enrollment. So it's going up a little. Hopefully it will continue to go up instead of go down. That would be a good thing. Any questions about enrollment? So it's 1482 right now. October 1st is count day, and last February it was 1,458. I would like to point out a couple things on your enrollment sheet though. 27, that's the pre-K enrollment, right, Deanna?
Yes.
Okay, so that's 27 students we wouldn't have had if we didn't add pre-K this year. Also, you'll notice just a couple anomalies. Our largest class, 6th grade, is 130 students. Our smallest class is 1st grade with 75 students. And also talking about adding program, we have our EMC cohort, not this year, but next year we will be sending approximately 20 students to a 5th year institution, either North Central or to ACC. And when those 20 students go, if all of them go, Marty, what is it, or what do we have, seniors? 20?
We're at 26 that are in there.
Yeah. So not all of them are going to go to either ACC or North Central. We hope a lot of them do, but if they do choose to go, that'll add a 13th column here, right? That'll be that 5th year, and if all 20 of them go, we all know it's not about the money, but the FTE is 10,000 times whoever goes to a 5th year institution. So that will help fund the EMC program, just like the FTE will help fund some of our pre-K expenses for teachers and aides. On the other side, I'm going to switch to the last thing that we're going to talk about here in the superintendent report, and that's the CTE millage that's coming up. I sent this email out, and if you've read my last 2 Sunday soups, I've talked about the CTE millage that's coming to us on November 4th. And I brought a guest star, Jamie Huber. You guys all know Jamie, the regional superintendent. He's really the one behind this and has done a great job on getting this stuff out and about, and so that people know what's going on. And the most important thing is when people walk into to vote on November 4th, they're not surprised by this, right? We want to inform them. We want to make sure they have all the information that they can make a good decision. But the last thing, listen to Jamie speak, we don't want anybody going to say, what is this? And have no knowledge of what's going on on November 4th. And I think if people know the facts, I think the majority of them would hopefully, most likely, vote for it, but ultimately it's up to them. It's our job just to provide the facts. And I just wanted to show this first screen here because this is something that Jamie Huber and the COP ESD provided us. You can see that there's a link for every school district here, and if I click on our school district, it provides a whole bunch of resources that I have at my disposal as superintendent of Sheboygan. These are all things that Donovan Communication, a group that we work with and subcontract with, these are all ideas, videos, all kinds of other types of information that I can use and send out my Sunday soup, or I can push it out to building principals, or we can print it out and send it out. Tim, can you hand out right there that flyer? Here's another thing that the COP ESD did. Please take one and pass it around. I have a stack of flyers that the COP ESD has provided us, and I've given them all to the building principals, and hopefully you will see these around quite a bit, either on desks in main offices of buildings when you walk in and visit. But that flyer right there is very informative as well. And you'll find it's not telling anybody to vote yes or no. What it's doing is trying to provide people with good information. So there's one for you, and I'm going to turn it over to Jamie Huber, and he's going to give you a little bit more information about the upcoming village. Which one did you want up?
Thanks, Spencer. Yeah, we can start there.
Right there? Okay.
Yeah, good to see everybody again. Seems like the school year's been a good start, and thanks to these fine folks over here, good to see your faces as well. Didn't know you're a Green Bay Packers fan. And I can't say that I have Browns here at home, but I was rooting them on for the first time. All right, so this doesn't run that, Spencer. So this is on email here. What do we got here?
So if you just scroll,
There we go.
Yeah.
All right, I got you. All right. I see. All right, so thanks again, Spencer, for the invite. And honestly, a lot of the legwork and groundwork has been here, but this is a long time coming with a lot of communication and partnerships. The last few years that I've been here, since 2021, and coming to present, we started with this idea of if kids can go away to sports camps, why not have career camps and academies each summer so they can connect with careers and employers right here in our region. And that's kind of just grown, to be quite honest. We started with a Marshall Plan grant in 2019, and it's just continued to snowball with momentum, and kids starting in middle school saying, what's next, what's next, what's next? So we started with 8 camps in 2021 across the larger region, and this last summer we had 49. If that tells you anything in regard to the need, and kids are saying, what's next, what's next? That's what's driving this, and then also with 75 different steering committee and employer partners and agency partners, they've also been working as a part of a group to try to eliminate barriers to create more of these types of opportunities. And that's really the focus, eliminate barriers to create opportunities, and that's kind of led us to where we're at with the millage proposal that's coming up on the ballot November 4th. But to give you a little background first, before we go there, we're not trying to recreate the wheel here. I want to show you an example, and this is from our neighbors. This is really funky.
There you go.
There we go, I gotta look up here, not at the screen, that's the tip. So this is not COP. This is our neighbors to the west, Sharon. COP is there's 56 ISDs in the state. We're one of 15 regions that do not have a CTE millage like this. Sharon, our neighbors to the west, do. They have since in the 90s, if I recall. So this model is really what we're talking about, and I'll show you a little bit as we get into the website. But you see these one, I want you to notice every single district across Sharon, because of the funding support, has programs for everywhere, every district, and their students, okay? So, and then you count the numbers. Pellston, I love to give it as an example. Any idea how many students Pellston has enrolled? I know you're going through enrollment numbers.
162.
As a high school, so 500 K-12. Pellston has 6 CTE programs located and available to their student population at the high school. And again, the difference is, I was a building trades teacher. The typical shop program and the CTE program are on 2 different levels. That's not one and the same. The CTE program, if Ryan McClintock were here, he would tell you that it's connected to business and industry as guidance and partners. There are specific standards and industry recognized certifications. So if you were to count across this whole region, there's 53 different programs. Every single district has them, and that's part of the consortium model because I like to use Petoskey. I was a Sheboygan grad, so we always compare to Petoskey, and the one good thing is you see they have 8 programs. Sheboygan currently has 9, but here's the difference from a consortium model. Where Sheboygan has 9 programs internally, by working together with districts geographically close to them, I count 30 programs that Petoskey kids have access to because of this type of consortium model. And that's where the power is in coming together across the region through this type of millage campaign to have access. So every district has it, just as every kid could, and that's really what this is all about. That's all I'm going to talk about with Sharon. We'll jump right into our stuff. And thank you for getting the flyers out, Spencer. And I do have copies if anybody else, and I know there's some I see when I walked out there, but the whole point is, as Spencer mentioned, this is an informational campaign. Campaign Finance Act, nothing vote yes, you can't do that. But we want to make sure that everybody has the information so that they're an informed voter for coming up for November 4th of what this means, what it doesn't mean. And just as you saw in that Sharon example, all of those different programs are at local districts. That's exactly what this is designed to do through a consortium. As an ISD, we do have to run and collaborate and facilitate a regional millage, but that doesn't mean the dollars go to COP and stay there. Of course, we'd get them initially, but then through a formula, we would distribute them to each of our districts where the programs are. The more programs you have, the more students you serve. Obviously, the more dollars you would get from this type of millage if it were to be supported by voters on November 4th. But the partnership, you can see all 10 districts are joined in and want to move forward with this initiative, and that's why it's coming before our voters in November. All right, this is really funky. There we go. So I encourage you, if you haven't already, come to this website. It's www.cte4cop.org because our students today are tomorrow's skilled workers. So rolling through to show you, this is a 1 mil ask for up to 6 years, the first 6 years, starting in 2026 if it were to be approved. And if I click right here, this is everything you need to know about the millage, and as you're in your travels, please send people to this if they have questions. Reach out to Spencer or any of our local district superintendents for what would this mean for your districts, because ultimately, which programs you decide to run or add or enhance the ones that you currently have, that's a local decision. That's not going to come from COP. But this is an example of the signed-ons. All 10 superintendents signed on the dotted line that said, we're going to work together to create a consortium of programs, more so than any one school district can create alone. Going back to that Sharon model, that's really what we're looking to try to create. Because if you keep in mind the goal, more opportunities for kids to connect through skills that they can see their futures. And the beautiful thing with this is those futures can be right here in our communities. We all chose to live here. We need them to see the opportunities that are right here with the employer partners that we have and that are in this region, and because they may not know otherwise. For effect, there's all the signatures, and this was back in June. All right. So if a website has 1,000 words and a picture has 1,000, I think this video does a lot of justice to run through quickly what this is all about and what it could potentially mean for the region. So as long as the volume is good on this, Spencer, I'll hit play. You good?
We'll find out.
Coming through here.
On Tuesday, November 4th, 2025, voters across the COPESD region will vote on a CTE millage to create and expand vocational and technical education in our schools. Currently, 4 of the 10 districts in our service region have career and technical education programs, with 60% of our local school districts not having these types of programs. Because of this, our region is considered a CTE desert. With voter approval, the millage would expand CTE programs and vocational opportunities to all 10 area school districts, ensuring that all interested students have access to hands-on training and resources. The November CTE vocational millage proposal would have a property tax impact of up to $1 million, which would sunset in 2031 after 6 years, unless renewed by voters. Our cumulative property tax levy rate ranks as the 4th lowest out of 56 intermediate school districts across the state. 100% of these funds generated by the CTE vocational proposal would be used to strengthen existing programs and create new opportunities for our students, employers, and communities.
Manufacturing, the trades, these are meaningful, powerful careers. And if we can build this up here, build this workforce up here, we can build a year-round economy.
COPESD is one of 15 out of 56 intermediate school districts in the state without a CTE millage, meaning that our students don't have access to the same resources and programs that others do across the state to connect them to high-wage, high-demand careers in our region. Our CTE summer camps and academies for grades 7 through 12 are well attended and well reviewed by attendees, parents, teachers, and business partners. Total registration has risen by more than 280% since 2021. The 49 camp and academy sessions offered this summer is up from just 8 in 2021. Since 2024, business, industry, and community partners have worked with COPESD through a steering committee that's focused on eliminating barriers across our region to help foster vocational and technical education and connect students with skills and careers within their communities.
CTE does not mean that you're going to be a carpenter all your life or that you're going to be a welder all your life. But it's just as valuable knowing what you don't want to do. So it gives students choices.
Stronger partnerships between schools and local businesses, innovative CTE and vocational education programs, and a commitment to student achievement can help build a more skilled workforce that would benefit students, communities, and businesses in our region.
So I'll keep scrolling through the website a little bit just to show you what's here. And these pictures, by the way, are actually all of our region's kids. There's Sheboygan kids in here too from this past summer's camps and academies that were mentioned. So expanding access, you can see in partnering together, there's a lot of opportunity here. And there's a lot of employer partners that are engaged in our camps and academies that want this. But what I love most is we have students now that they've gone through these camps and academies for 4 years, and they're saying, what's next? And why can't I do this in my school? Sheboygan has 9 programs. I have access in the Sharm example or the Petoskey example to 30 gives a lot more opportunities, and the employer partners are out there. So you can see across the CTE desert, which is comes from my school data. I don't put that on there. So the plan, here's the ballot proposal. with the ask is statutorily for up to 1 mil on November 4th. That would generate that dollar amount across the region for $4.8 million, which would then flow to local school districts to enhance and expand. Sheboygan, you have 9 programs. These would support those 9 programs. You can also expand and be supportive, but you're also going to gain access regionally to other programs around in partnership with other local school districts for programs that you may not have currently. The goal of this is not to create the same programs and compete for kids. That's absolutely not the case. We need more opportunities for students in this area, not less. I think this is actually a point of pride. There's 56 ISDs in the state, and you saw it in the video. We're one of 15 without a CTE millage, and it takes resources to provide these type of opportunities. So being 4th from the bottom, just as a little color commentary, the other 3 on that list are AMA, ESD, and Alpena, IOSCO, just to our south, and CORE, ISD are the bottom 4 in that region. I don't say that as anything other than a point of pride to be mindful of our taxpayers and the dollars. We do a lot with what we have. But when you can see across the state, when 41 out of 56 have these types of resources and these types of opportunities, why this ask is important to bring to the voters for consideration in November. And why now is a question that we've gotten a little bit. Well, if we continue to wait, by the time this goes to voters and then plans are in place, that's 2 years out for these programs to start. And if you think about a typical 4-year high school kid, that's half of their career, so we're losing that group. So now's the time to at least ask and bring this for the voters. So we have a lot of, speaking of asking questions, this is all about information and making sure that folks are informed. So this is an FAQ section to the website, and this is going to continue to be built upon. So there's a question. Hey, if there's questions, send them this way. All right, and then that way we can get those questions answered and responded to either individually, depending on the nature of the question, or if it's a bigger question, certainly update the website with that type of information so folks are informed. And we talked with a couple of folks earlier today about this. I don't think it's any surprise with the world we're in, the labor market that we're in. CTE is certainly in demand, and we want our kids to have all those opportunities that others do across the state. So they see their futures right here in our 3-county region and the employer opportunities that we have across this region. And it's really schools' opportunity to connect them to what's in this area because they may not otherwise know. And that's part of the work that we've done with camps and academies with business immersion trips, and it's just kind of gained steam. So, looking forward to the conversation. I encourage you to check this out, help spread the word about what this is, what it isn't, and really get the word out in the community about what does this look like in our communities, what would it look like for the students here in Sheboygan, and really across our region. With that, what questions might you have?
So, it seems like this is more about not necessarily adding additional classes like within the school, right? Because, I mean, we only have like X amount of kids, and if we added more programs in the school, we'd probably have to cannibalize other things. This seems like it's more about like, is it summer programs, or are some of these programs, do they go like year round?
They would be in schools where programs, for instance, in an ideal world, I would love if this ends up getting approved by voters in November, 6 years from now, us showing a map similar to Sharam. These are programs in schools.
Okay.
It's sharing students across regions because as Sheboygan has 9 current programs, it doesn't mean Sheboygan adds 15. It means Sheboygan has access to maybe 3 in Mackinac, 4 in Onaway, and 5 in Indian River working together so that you can share students so they can get more opportunity to connect with their future.
So is it like, are they like going to work with employers? Then I guess I'm just kind of confused as to like, what does it look like? Because I know what our programs in our school look like.
Yeah.
Like, is this more of, you know, maybe only 1 or 2 kids may do, you've got lots of different programs out there. I guess I'm just not sure.
Well, for instance, health occupations.
Okay.
I'll give you that as an example. Certainly a need.
Right.
There's definitely a shortage.
So like somebody wants to be a nurse.
Yes, perfect. Or other, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sheboygan doesn't offer a health ops program, but what if Mackinac City did? You could send a kid there from your school to share.
Okay.
Maybe Mackinac City's sending, or Indian River. That's the force multiplier effect. During the school day, funds would be flowed to the local districts to support that, so that you're opening opportunities for them to have that type of CT program that they don't currently, as an example here in Sheboygan. Now, obviously, if we were to look at some of the other areas where there's no CT programming, you can see where that's certainly beneficial. But even for Sheboygan, that force multiplier and working across the region, that's one of the questions that we're getting asked for these students that have come through this. Well, we have partners with both McLaren and Munson with health and career, or health camps. I want this. Why don't I have this and why can't I have this as a part of my regular school schedule? The other benefit is through work-based learning, which I know Sheboygan does at the senior level. My son's taking advantage of that, but it's connecting students to their career interests right here with employer partners. So it is in the school day.
Okay.
Matt is through more programs by working together collectively across the consortium than any one district can provide alone. If
Okay.
that helps answer.
So you're also talking about too, like expanding I know the summer camps are popular with a lot of kids.
So, in this dollar amount, this would also continue the summer camps and academies that are offered through COP, but that's a very small portion.
Okay.
It's like 3% of the overall that would continue these programs going forward where they're currently grant funded.
Okay.
Great question. Other question?
I have one question. I mean, right now, so if I'm understanding this correctly, 6 out of 10 school districts do not have a program at all.
Correct.
We have 9, Gaylord has 6, and then after that, a couple school districts have 1 or 2.
Yeah. So if we go back to that map, Joburg has 2 and Inland Lakes has 3.
And this question has come up because we already have 9. It's not like we're gonna be adding more programs, but essentially there'll be more revenue to support those programs, right?
This is considered a CTE enhancement millage. It doesn't hurt existing programs. It just provides funds for you all to continue running and enhance those programs while also expanding across the whole entire region. So
And currently, I think the way that, because we are a millage desert, we're only generating, and it fluctuates, I know every year, but around $1 million to support our region, is that correct?
I guess we get 0, COP does not get any dollars for CTE
Right.
at this area. So I think you're probably talking Perkins dollars.
Yes,
Which Ryan is the CPID director.
correct.
So by,
That's a little over $1 million, isn't it, every year?
I don't want to quote that
Fluctuates.
exactly, but there are federal dollars that come into play with these programs that we could also leverage when we expand this versus what the region's currently seeing.
Would the Perkins dollars be impacted as well, or would we?
More programs would equate to more Perkins dollars, provided we have a federal and state budget going forward, because currently we don't. But that, you would think that would naturally follow.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions?
Jamie, when you talk about enhancing the CTE programs in schools to take advantage of it, would that be like helping with the transportation costs?
So part of the formula, there's 50% of the dollars from the proposed formula would be divided up by the number of programs for instructional costs. So yes, that would be there. Another piece is equipment, and then technology, maintenance, transportation. There's a section for that to offset costs so that students could be provided with transportation to access in other areas. Yeah, no problem. Question? Well, Julie, I think you have.
I was just gonna say, I appreciate all the work that you put into this, because this happens, this will be amazing for our students. I know there's a lot of students who, not a lot, but a few students who have asked me about those health programs and were wishing that they could get into that. And so that would give them the opportunity, well, not them anymore, because they'll be gone. But
Exactly.
But it will let our students do, have more choices to get those things, so.
By partnering
Thank you.
together, there's power in that across the region. And the interesting thing with any type of millage like this is obviously the dollars, COP facilitates the millage, but ultimately the dollars flow to local districts like your own to run programs. This is a decentralized model. Some places, if you look at Traverse City or bigger areas like that, they have a county-wide center where they have built a tech center.
Yeah.
That's not what this is, being mindful of taxpayer dollars. We want these dollars and programs to go right to school districts where kids are
You're not
already
gonna
at.
do what Kalamazoo just did and build, what, $100
No.
million tech center?
No,
That's crazy.
so being mindful of taxpayers' dollars, you can imagine the costs of building a center. We cover 2,100 square miles. We need to be mindful of logistics and also taxpayer dollars to be smart about where we offer programs. And this will ultimately do that without having to build a center and things like that, so.
Did Powder Puff just get canceled?
Gives us half an hour.
Yeah. So, other questions?
I would like to also thank Jamie. This has been very strategic and intentional. He's been sharing his plan with us for over a year, right? You've been working on this for a year. Are you getting any type of, I know it's hard to tell, right, when which way people are going to vote, but are you feeling pretty good with the work that's been put in, that this has got a pretty good chance to pass?
Well, I mean, ultimately, all this work is, it's up to the voters. So along those lines, so some of the background work that we did, spring of 2024, we actually sent out 10,000 postcards, about 10,000 postcards to survey and see. So we had 69% response to that with no other information about a 1 mil ask in this area. So we did do that kind of straw poll, if you will. And then obviously seeing kids continue to go through our camps and academy session, wanting more, hearing from our employer steering committee partners saying, we need this, and then letting schools be the conduit. So we have sent out, hopefully y'all have them, that should have been this weekend, 25,000 postcards. So we've had good conversations since, and some calls from that, so that tells me that informational campaign of getting the word out is working. Carly's gotten this into the Sheboygan Tribune for us, so we're there, and superintendents are doing a good job, because ultimately it's the community's voters and the voice from local districts that's gonna matter the most to connect with their voters as to what this means here. So social media and things like that are coming into play. So we're trying to hit every angle we can to get the word out as to what this means for the region and why the ask, and ultimately it's up to them to decide. So far so good.
Do you have any idea with like the schools that don't have any programs, like what they would be leaning on more doing? You think they're looking to probably send their kids more to like the other places that already have them, or what?
No, the goal with this, just like with Sharm, is every district has some of their own programs, but it's also open to the region. So that would be the only play from the consortium side. What the ultimate decision of what programs get run in local districts is a local district decision. From a consortium model, we're not looking to create competing programs here. We're looking to create more opportunities for kids. So to that point, Matt, is there are business partners in various communities. I think agriculture, I think Cadillac Products over in Rogers City area. We have a lot of strategic partners, Prescott Electric and Gas. Twin City has a lineman program right there. They're a partner in our region that certainly could do that. So it's about what employer partners are out there, because that means there are employer opportunities in our region that we need to connect kids through and land programs in schools where they don't currently exist. And then those are open within logistical boundaries and reasonableness to kids across the region, not just one district. So that's kind of the guiding factor, and really a difference between a traditional wood or metal shop. They don't have the business industry influence and partnership that a CT program does.
All right, thank you, Jamie.
Yeah.
Appreciate your
Thank you
time
for the time.
coming in. And that's it for me, Julie.
Okay. So moving on, next is the curriculum committee update. We had a meeting on September 16th. It was Jessica's first curriculum meeting in our district, and we were very happy to have her. We had a presentation from Joe Dirk on a Constitution presentation. And then we went over some old business, kind of to bring everybody up to speed of what has been happening in our district with Molly and Kopeka, the school family compact, and our homeless foster care things, our absences and those things. We went through that. And then we started out with new business, where we talked about the curriculum goals that we have, and we took a look at those and made sure that they were on target, what we wanted. We talked about Constitution Day on September 17th, how something was happening in every building, every classroom to talk about our Constitution. And then we went on to the testing windows for NWEA and talked about Molly and Kopeka continuing on this year, working with language arts and picking up math, a little bit left to do in there, and then going on with language arts. We talked about aptitude a little bit, how we're not using rooms. It's a little difficult for teachers to use. They don't really like it. They really are choosing to go back to Class Dojo, trying to keep it a little consistent, at least K-6 with Class Dojo, and then Power School seems to meet the needs at the high school. So we're thinking about going back that way. We talked about intervention periods for all grade levels, and also using a saver screening tool in the high school with MTSS. And then, was for both of those things, for the interventions and and for academic and behavioral. And we also talked about a need for a Title I teacher at the intermediate school. And Ben was interviewing candidates this week. And then we had no public comment, and that was the end of our meeting. Any questions? Discussion? Okay. That was our curriculum committee meeting. Okay, the next thing on our agenda is the acceptance of retirements. We have two people who have put in for retirement, Jason Friday and Lisa Gibbons. I think I heard Jason say today he's been in the district for 28 years. And Lisa, I'm not quite sure how many years, do you know how many years she has in?
She said 32.
32?
Or, I thought it was in her letter, yes, 32.
What's
Said
up?
32.
In her letter here.
It's 32.
Okay. 32 years. They are looking to retire, so I'm looking for a motion to accept the retirements of Jason Friday and Lisa Gibbons at the end of the 2025-26 school year.
I'll make that motion. I'll second.
Motion made by Travis, second by Luke. Any questions? Okay, Chris?
Luke Kuczynski.
Yep.
Richard Pilon.
Yes.
Tim Tarja.
Yes.
Deborah Buhner.
Yes.
Matt Malarchuk.
Yes.
Travis Neville.
Yes.
And Julie Lohiba.
Yes. I just would like to say that motion was passed with regrets. So it's hard losing people of that kind of seniority in our district. But that's what happens, they retire going to a better, not better, well, not better. So, the next thing on our agenda is the approval of early graduation. We have two students who would like to graduate early. They have met all the requirements for graduation, and they have a life plan in place that they would like to get started on. So I am looking for a motion to approve the early graduation in December of Jediah Temple and Caitlin Dupree. Did I say that right, Dupree?
Julie, can I just add that with successful completion of this semester?
Yeah, okay, yes, thank you.
Make the motion to approve the early graduation of Jada and Caitlin.
Second.
Okay, motion made by Tim, supported by Deb. All in favor, oh no, not all in favor, Chris?
Luke Kuczynski.
Yep.
Richard Pilon.
Yes.
Tim Tarja.
Yes.
Deborah Buhner.
Yes.
Matt Malarchuk.
Yes.
Travis Neville. Julie Lohiba.
Yes. Okay, the next thing on our agenda is and before I go on, congratulations to them for getting their ducks in a row and getting that accomplished early. The next thing on the agenda is the Finance and Building and Grounds Committee update by Matt.
Okay, first thing, we had the Blue Liners, which is the hockey team parent fundraising organization, came and asked the district to take back in paying for the game officials. Up until this year, they've been paying that on their own, and everybody in the athletic committee and both the finance committee supported the district doing this, given that it's a game day expense. I think it's slowly, last year agreed to pick up their busing transportation, which is for non-overnight stays, and paid for the coach, I think, a few years before that. So I think this is kind of just their final request and talking to them in the district for, kind of taking back those expenses that, are really should be district paid. So they were very appreciative of that. Probably end up being somewhere between $6,000 to $7,000, no more than $8,000. They get they have to pay mileage for some of the officials, so they didn't have an exact amount, but everybody thought that was a reasonable thing. Laura went over the monthly budget numbers. The state still hasn't finalized their budget, so they just heard Spencer kind of discuss that a lot of districts around the state are having to borrow money to make payroll, pay other expenses because they didn't manage their money properly in the past. Our district has quite a bit of funds in reserve to withstand for quite a long time, so we don't anticipate having to borrow any money in order to make payroll or pay our general expenses. We anticipate, budget will be passed in a reasonable amount of time, so that will not affect us, which is a good thing. So then we talked about the curriculum update, and again, because the budget's not passed, we weren't sure about if the free reduced lunches would still go on, but again, the school has a healthy balance in that food service account as well as our general fund account, so we all agreed that, if the school has to fund it for a while, then we're not going to start charging kids for lunch or anything like that, lunch or breakfast that we currently provide, so that was just kind of kicked around, but again, we're hoping that the state does what they're supposed to be doing. Just had a brief discussion about fund balance. For those of you that were on the board a year ago, we all just had a discussion and felt like 25% is kind of the surplus goal. Just in talking with everybody, we felt that was good to keep it there, and it's really not something that's set in stone. Just if we start to approach that number, even drop below it, we just kind of had the discussion that we'd like Spencer and Laura to, talk to the board, let them know, and see what kind of why it dropped below that, what decisions we may have to make in order to, get it back above there, or, see if it's a kind of a temporary thing or more of a long-term problem that we need to address. So really just kind of a target to keep your eye on, but I think we're pretty well north of that right now, so not any immediate danger. Just had a discussion about FOIA policy review. Currently, we charge a fee for somebody that submits a FOIA, and that's going to stay the same. There's a healthcare reimbursement for the staff who I think they paid like 3% for retiree healthcare. They no longer have to do that individually, and the state refunded I think a portion, or that 3% for like the last year. They didn't refund all of the money that the staff paid, so we're currently refunding the money to the staff that we received from the state. I think there was a shortfall of approximately $25,000 that we're waiting to get some more guidance whether the state's going to pay out that additional money too, which would make sense that they would, but we're just waiting to get a little more information on that. They haven't really provided a whole lot of guidance on what to do with. We're not the only district that's happened to. I think most districts were not paid out the full amount. Teacher expenses. Currently, the buildings are assigned a budget. We just all agreed that I think Spencer is going to talk to the building principals that they're each, going to be given a general budget for, equipment or expense teacher supplies, and they're going to manage their own buildings and what they allocate to their people at their buildings. They know it better than we do. But I don't know what they ended up deciding, but I know Spencer is going to talk to them at their next meeting. Online learning proposal that everybody saw last month. I think we were just informed that that's going to be tabled till later in the year to allow for more marketing time in order to get students, as we would need them by October 1st to make a difference for us. So that'll probably pick back up in the spring, I would guess, that subject. This staffing update, they're working on filling the premier sub positions first. Security supervisor has been tabled, just because I know there's some discussions about possibly a second SRO, just some different possibilities, so we're just kind of waiting to see still before we pull the trigger on that. And then Steve just gave a update on several projects. The covered walkway is in the design process still. We had to switch to a new architect firm or engineer firm, and Steve said they're working on that. I think he's hoping to have an update by the 1st of October. They're working on that, the CTE fencing and the drift indoor, this new firm, Three Rivers. Each of those projects has to be submitted to the state for approval, so that could take a little bit longer than just bidding it out. The baseball, softball fields are gonna get recompacted because of drainage and erosion issues. They have to lay down some new diamond dust and regrade several parts of those fields. And they had the walkthrough at East Elementary. Steve said there was quite a few firms. The bid opening is gonna be October 2nd. He's hoping we get several firms to bid on that. He was pretty pleased with the overall attendance. We talked about the updated strategic plan, and we just talked about kind of getting some more follow-up with Site Logic. Talked about briefly with the track and the tennis courts, looking like they may not get done this fall. The track probably most likely won't, because there just been some issues with Reeve Riley, and then we're hoping that they'll come and do the 10. They were supposed to start on the 15th of September. Obviously haven't started on that yet, so I think time's kind of winding down on them here, where they're either gonna have to get going or they won't be able to do it. We'll have to probably rebid that out for the spring. And that was it.
I just have one question about the walkway. Is the tent a done deal? Is that for sure something that's going to happen?
Yeah, that's something we talked about today with Ben and the intermediate building. Since the covered walkway won't be completed prior to winter, I know Steve is pricing out tents right now, just as a potential option. So we're looking into that. I know Ben Schley has been working with his group over there with Ashley and looking at when it is bad weather, I think they need to change a little bit, because right now, correct me if I'm wrong, Ben, but parent pickup is going pretty well.
Yeah, I mean,
As long as it's not snowing and raining outside,
got there in
right?
12 minutes one day, so that was pretty good.
Yeah.
But yeah, when the weather comes, it's going to definitely change things a little bit. We have another plan that we have if we need to.
Okay.
As far as how we dismiss and line things up inside and kind of exit from that hallway.
Yeah.
Any questions from that? Anyone? Discussion? Questions? Okay, the next thing on our agenda is the payment of bills. I need a motion to acknowledge the payment of the regular and bond invoices in the amount of $1,242,815.28.
I'll make that motion.
Support.
Motion made by Tim, support by Matt. Any questions? Discussion? Chris?
Luke Kukowski.
Yep.
Richard Pilon.
Yes.
Tim Tarja.
Yes.
Deborah Buhner.
Yes.
Matt Malarchuk.
Yes.
Travis Neville.
Yes.
Julie Lohila.
Yes. The next thing on the agenda is the approval of the MASB conference fees. Right now, Deb and I are going, and Spencer is going to that. So we need approval for the payment of the conference fees. So I need a motion to approve the payment of the MASB conference fees in the amount of $898 for Julie Lohila and Deb Bruner. And in your packets, there is a listing of each one of those.
I'll make that one. Support.
Okay, motion made by Luke, support by Travis. Any discussion, questions?
You have to abstain from voting.
And, yeah,
Luke Kukowski.
Yep.
Richard Pilon.
Yes.
Tim Tarja.
Yes.
Matt Malarchuk.
Yes.
And Travis Neville.
Yes.
I have to say abstain, so does Deb.
Oh,
Yeah.
Deborah Buhner.
Abstain.
And Julie Lohila.
Abstain.
Thank you.
Okay, the next thing on our agenda is the board policy update by Deb.
Okay, we met, that's likely, on September September 9th and finished up the final series of this year's updates from our lawyers. Under the 5,000 series that deals with students' curriculum and academic matters, most of those we already had the policies, and we didn't make much change to anything. 5304, we chose to keep the policy as is that public-private students may not participate in district-provided athletic and extracurriculars. We had to name our homeless liaison and truancy officer for the district. There is one piece that we may have to come back to, and it's in regards to being a Title I district, and I apologize, but that should have gone to curriculum, and I wasn't able to make it that day to the curriculum meeting, so we may have to come back to that 5405. We have all of the necessary forms for parents to object to materials in our library. We have the necessary policy for graduation requirements in regards to personal finance. We chose not to add optional language that would allow a student that was short credits to walk during the graduation ceremony. We had to identify that we acknowledge our top 12 academic graduates and that our students need 22 credits to graduate. We chose not to add some additional language that was suggested to direct teachers to minimize homework and for building principals to publish grade changes, procedures. We left our Michigan model sex ed curriculum as is, in that we teach sex ed, reproductive health, and communicable disease instruction. 5509C and D were new, and they basically stated that the district cannot require attendance, students to attend or perform at a political rally or religious ceremony. We have language already regarding age-appropriate suicide prevention and plan to keep it. We have a threat assessment available through our ISD, so we don't need to create our own at this time. We do include the Healthy Kids application, that KOHA, in our registration packets. We chose not to add policy to create a closed campus at this time. We already have policy allowing IEP meetings to be recorded. And again, we chose not to deal with the policy encouraging teachers to minimize homework at this time. And finance, those two policy questions Matt covered. So that wraps up our updates for this school year.
I just want to add that the policy committee has been meeting the last few months, sometimes twice, to get through all of those policies. And while we were going through that, we did come across several policies that have to do with onboarding board members. So we are going to meet a few more times and go through the onboarding process and make a onboarding packet. So when we get new board members, we can give them more guidance on what a board member actually does. Because I don't think there's anybody who's ever gotten on the board and said, oh, this is exactly what I expected. So I think that going through that and creating that will make a big difference for new board members to come on. I do want to pass out this document that we do have adopted as a board, which our board members have not signed in several years, to see if we want to keep it or if we want to add to it, subtract it, change it. We can modify it in any way, but I would like every board member to kind of look through it and then either to us so that we can, get it back to us somehow, so that we can go through and kind of make a draft, so that the next time we can bring the next meeting, we can bring a draft of this and vote on what we want to do with it. So there's one for each of you. So, yep. Did everyone get them? Okay, so, and if you look at, these were all of these things that are in here would be a good thing for new board members to see and know. So, they're all based on our policies. I started looking through and trying to connect the policy to each one of those, but that takes more time than I had, but we'll work on that in the policy meeting also. So you can just take a look at that and get back with us on that. Okay, so, any questions about that? Okay. All right, I need a motion to accept the board policy updates for the 4,000s and 500 series with the exception of 5405, policy 5405. Is that still?
I'll make the motion to accept the board policy updates for 4,000 and 5,000 series, with the exception of 5405.
Support.
A motion made by Tim, support by Matt. Any discussion? Chris?
Luke Kukowski,
Yep.
Richard Pilon,
Yes.
Tim Tarjak,
Yes.
Deborah Buhner,
Yes.
Matt Malarchuk,
Yes.
Travis Neville,
Yes.
Julie Lohila.
Yes. Okay, the next thing on our agenda is the athletic committee update by Travis.
All right, we met on September 11th. We talked about, there was a vacancy for the after-school FAP position. Marty's not here, I was gonna ask him if they got that filled in the last 10 days. We've tabled the Hall of Fame project for now. It turns out MHSAA is gonna ask all new teachers and coaches to have CPR AED certification, so we're working on getting that done. Matt talked about the track project, like I said, it's gonna get delayed. We talked about winter sports fees for officials. We're gonna switch to this arbiter system, which is gonna be a lot more easy to track as far as taxes, things like that. And we discussed the athletic director hiring process. We're not exactly sure what that position is gonna look like, but we've got some ideas and hopefully we can maybe kill more than one bird with that stone. That's it.
Any questions for Travis? Discussion? Chris? Nope. Don't have to know anything on that one.
What time do the Lions kick off, Travis?
8:30.
8:15.
That's right. All right, so the next thing on our agenda is the approval of overnight field trips. We have the band overnight field trip on October 24th through 25th. The girls golf regionals on October 6th through 7th. Hockey away games overnight trips on November 14th through 15th, December 19th through 20th, and January 30th through 31st. DECA states on March 5th through 7th, and anticipated, if they qualify, DECA International Career Development Conference on April 25th, 28th. So, I need a motion to, and we do have all the paperwork that, and then the permission slips that they'll be sending out in our packet, when all the paperwork is filled out.
I'll
So-
make that motion.
Support.
Any discussion?
Luke Kukowski,
Yep.
Richard Pilon,
Yes.
Tim Tarjak,
Yes.
Deborah Buhner,
Yes.
Matt Malarchuk,
Yes.
Travis Neville,
Yes.
Julie Lohila.
Yes. Okay, we also would like to recognize a donation to East Elementary from the Kiwanis of $500. So we thank them for that. We appreciate their support of our schools. Now it is time for public comment. Okay, it is time for public comment, so if there is any public who would like to approach the board, seeing none, motion to adjourn?
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
Support.
Motion made by Matt, supported by Travis. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Adjourned at 7:35.
Thank you for coming.
That was a record. Nicely done.
I heard there's a game.